are the voyages of the starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission: to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilization, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the landing party. I am your captain, Graham Nolan. Let's get going with our captain's log. Stardate 2504.02, episode 46, Obsession. Written by Art Wallace, directed by Ralph Sinensky. Star Trek meets Moby Dick. Obsession is a clever take on Melville's classic tale of a ship's captain obsessed with killing the white whale that cost him his leg. Here, Kirk wants to destroy the creature responsible for the destruction of the crew of his first deep space assignment aboard the USS Farragut. Writer Art Wallace came to Star Trek with some impressive credits. He had written for Roddenberry's The Lieutenant. He wrote for Shatner's 1965 courtroom series For the People. He wrote for The Invaders, and he was the co-creator and head writer of Dark Shadows. Ralph Sinensky returns as one of the 3 rotating Star Trek directors. His previous work was excellent. This Side of Paradise, Metamorphosis, and Bread and Circuses. Upon reading the script, Sinensky commented that he felt that there was a quality drop from the others that he had worked on, and he attributes that to the loss of Gene L. Kuhn. Shatner's lighting stand-in, Eddie Paskey, makes his 45th appearance here in the show as Lieutenant Leslie, and is actually killed by the cloud vampire. But don't shed a tear, because Lieutenant Leslie appears again in future episodes, evidently miraculously raised from the dead. This episode offers us a rare peek into Captain Kirk's past as a young ensign and the captain he served under, Garavik. His son, now assigned to the Enterprise as the head of his security, adds a dramatic dynamic to the story and offers Kirk a parallel to his own experiences with the cloud vampire. This is John Meredith Lucas's first episode as full producer since replacing Gene Kuhn. He felt that one of Kirk's main inspirations had been lost and wanted to bring back the feel of Captain Horatio Hornblower back in. It will be interesting as we move forward in the series to see if that is indeed the case. That is your captain's log tonight, my friends. Let's bring in the rest of the landing party, and we will talk about Moby Dick. Obsession. There's a sickening sweet smell in this room, and I can only attribute to sweet, sickening Aaron.
Yeah,
sickening sweet Aaron.
I'm sweet and I'm sickening at the same time. And I don't know, I'm kind of feeling like maybe I'm going to be on the outside looking in on this one, but I really like this episode. It's one of my faves, so we'll see.
Well, the wrench in the machine will be right here with Anna, that Star Trek girl.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome back, Anna.
Thank you.
It's always great to have you. And another sicky sweet
to bring the overall score down. It's always good to have her here because it kind of.
But then she has her favorites that she brings it up too. So
yeah, that's true.
Here's the Slather Man in Honey Garney.
Slathering myself in sickly sweet honey.
We can cure you with 1 drop of antimatter. That's all it'll
Let's hope that's as powerful as man ever gets.
That's right. It's how many cobalt bombs?
Yeah, it was like, how many was it? I can't remember now, but I remember laughing at that line like, why do they feel compelled to dub that in on that last scene, you know?
Right.
But
so,
there it was.
Well, what do you guys think about this one? This one's a tough one, I think.
I see. Okay, let me jump. I know Ron's got a lot to say because he always does. So I'm going to get mine out of the way and then turn sickening sweet Ron loose. But
I always have a lot to say.
no,
Jesus Christ, man.
Ron, I'm punching up, man. I'm punching up. So this, when I was a kid, this had all the elements that I wanted as a kid. And that was, this thing started off with menace and on the edge of your seat stuff, and it didn't let up the entire episode.
Mhm.
And that's one of the reasons I like this, is because the melodrama is high in this one all the way throughout. And so I'm just gonna stop right there because I know there's some character stuff you guys are gonna get into that either you love or you hate. So let me hear what you guys have to say beyond that.
All right. Anna, do you have any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, you know what? I always forget this episode. I tried watching it twice, and
Oh no.
the first time I fell asleep, and then I didn't get to finish it because I had my own obsession today. I've been going around to different malls trying to find a damn rabbit for my baby picture. The
I mean,
first
a
one I
live
sent you
rabbit or like
guys,
a stuffed rabbit?
no, like the Easter bunny.
Oh, okay.
I sent you guys a picture of my
Yeah,
daughter with
I
the
saw
first
that.
one.
Yeah, that was so cute.
which My whole family is like, that is the worst rabbit I've ever seen. And I agree. I want a brown rabbit, like Peter Rabbit. And so I
Right.
just drove over to the other fancy mall. Wait until you guys see this rabbit.
Oh no. Okay.
Oh, I'm seeing the picture right now.
Is this
Not-
like
not
Shore
that one.
Leave? Is this like Shore Leave, the rabbit from Shore Leave?
Yeah.
Okay, have you
The
guys
one
ever
with baby
seen?
peaches does look like the one from Shorely.
What is that?
It's an animatronic rabbit.
It looks like something out of Five Nights at Freddy's.
I know.
I know. How is this thing supposed to hold a baby?
Oh,
So this mall is like, it's the big fancy one. So it has like the one big mall. So that was the big rabbit. And then you go across the sky bridge to the other side, and it was beautiful. And the rabbit wasn't there.
Oh my God. You know, we
Well-
have a woman on this podcast when we go from a gaseous, murderous cloud to Easter bunnies in a mall. And
Listen, I needed to find the perfect rabbit for my baby. And that
my
rabbit
baby.
was,
I need to find a perfect rabbit for my baby.
I do.
Oh, I need a dingo for my baby.
baby.
So that
took
was
my
my
baby.
obsession.
It took my baby.
Listen, Kirk has clouds. I got rabbits.
Kirk has clouds. He's looked at
But so wait a minute. So are you saying this episode is boring? You think this episode's boring?
No,
Dude,
I
it
mean,
must be boring if she just veered off on a tangent.
no, I don't think it's boring. It's not necessarily my favorite because I don't like how everyone is just questioning Kirk. I mean, I think it's pretty reasonable when half of his crew is getting murdered by a cloud, and then he has the experience of running into this creature in his past, and no one is taking him seriously. I'm like, I don't know, 3 dead people in the first, 3 minutes of the movie, or the episode is pretty serious. So I didn't like that Kirk and McCoy weren't taking Kirk's
Spock.
obsession seriously.
You mean Spock? And
Oh yeah, Spock and McCoy, excuse
Yeah.
me.
That's
I
fair.
get the
valid.
whole
That's fair.
pressure with the vaccine and all that, but at the same time, I'm like, you really haven't figured out how to make this vaccine last. Like, it's got an expiration date on it that's that quick. I don't know.
Right. They
Well,
couldn't just like put it into the transporter and hold it there and then
Or take a shuttle and shuttle it over there,
That's all a little bit. That doesn't hold weight for me. But I agree with you about the Spock and McCoy not taking it seriously. But on the conversely, I think Kirk made some pretty awful decisions right out of the starting gate. I mean, he knew that he was familiar with this cloud thing and its ability to kill so many people pretty quickly. And he sends the red shirts out with their phasers and doesn't even tell them to fire immediately. He just says, go look for a cloud. And before you know it, 3 of them are dead. Or, well, one of them is half alive.
No, I think he does. I think he says, put your phasers on disruptor phase.
That was after the second time.
He didn't say it the first time?
No, he says it the second time.
Yeah.
When they go back.
Okay.
He brings them back again, he brings the landing party back. And again, it's the red shirts again. They just got red shirts keep getting massacred,
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm not saying I don't like the episode because I do, but I just feel like his decision making, knowing the threat of this thing, the way it massacred his entire crew, and that was it. That's all he knew, is that this thing killed his captain, killed 200 members of his crew. And then he goes down there and thinks a few guys in red shirts are going to tackle this thing with a phaser because he fired and hesitated, just like, what was it, Garovic, I think?
Garovic, yeah.
Garovic did. So I'm a little about his choices in the beginning, and I do think it. That said, I think it lends itself to the idea of him being obsessive over it, because when you're obsessed with things, you tend to not make good decisions. Even though Spock and McCoy were justly so right to question him on that because of those decisions, because people are dying around him. And even there's a scene in the briefing room where McCoy basically scolds him and says, "Hey, you got one more thing to add to your trophy."
Well, a trophy to hang on your wall.
Yeah. And then Spock says, well, he admits now he realizes this creature because it turned on them. But they just lost 2 or 3 other guys, just literally killed. Right. And then McCoy turns to Kirk and says, "Sorry, Jim, I was wrong." And Kirk just smiles like it was like he feels justified. And to me, that to me is just fucked up, considering you just lost 6 fucking men to your command under this obsession of yours. I don't agree with it. I don't think McCoy should have apologized. I think he was right to scold him over that. And I don't think Kirk getting a little grin on his face because he said I was wrong, it just didn't sit right with me. That said, I love the whole Moby Dick story and angle of it. It's a classic tale, and I enjoyed it. Otherwise, I think they were really effective. I know Aaron's thinking, Ron has so much to say, but I'm just going to get out. I'm not shutting up.
Kidding.
So, no, I know. So I do think they were very effective right from the beginning, making this thing seem alive. When it comes over the rock, kind of creeps over, although I think Spock and Kirk would have noticed it right away, but whatever. And then they reverse the camera so it sneaks back behind them.
that was cool.
Yeah, that was right away. You knew it was a thinking thing,
Yeah.
So.
I mean, 2 of the things that bother me in this, one is a storytelling point, because the scene is superfluous and somewhat repetitive, is when Spock goes to Garovic's cabin and tries to tell him that, what he did wouldn't have mattered, and we had just gotten through that when not only did Bones tell this to Kirk, Spock comes in and he says the same damn thing for 2 more minutes. So you have 4 minutes plus the Garovic scene saying this exact same thing. And then you've got a ship of 430 people, and he just the cloud creature happens to go into Garovic's room. He
That was the only event that was open.
Yeah, it was the only event that was open, Graham. Or at least that's my
of course, because it was convenient.
He likes his case, Graham.
That whole scene was written to have Spock in the room, to have him face that danger. There could have been a dozen other ways to get him into that room, or get him into a sequence in which the cloud creature goes through, and then we find out about Spock's.
Well, it gets into the impulse engine, right?
What's that?
It gets in through the impulse engine, then it's sort of locked inside the vents. And then there's just one vent in the whole ship, evidently. That's so it happens to be Garovic's.
Right. Yeah.
It does seem convenient for the story. Out of 400 crew members, that's the one cabin that.
Yeah, and it just happens to be, Garovic.
Yeah.
Well, Spock is in there, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, so there's some contrivances, but I don't know. The things that bugged you about Kirk, they bugged me about the episode too, because I didn't like how he was acting, but I thought it was all proof that he was obsessing and unbalanced this whole episode, and these guys are trying to reel him back in. So, I mean, you're right. A bunch of people died. But it almost, when he did that smile, it's kind of like, or when he was standing there before they were, when just as McCoy says, you just wanted to hang the trophy on your wall and all this kind of stuff. It was like his expression to me, it was like he was so focused on killing this monster. He didn't give, at that moment, didn't give a rip if he had to kill 20 guys to get that thing, which is not what we would, what we expect from Kirk. But I just thought this whole episode he was off his rocker a little bit.
Yeah.
And I kind of liked it.
But he wasn't Commodore Decker off his rocker.
No.
Who was also
I guess for me, it's just that, if you're the captain of a ship, you've just lost a bunch of men. And even at the end, they're like, oh, come down to my quarters. I got some tall tales we'd like to hear, or whatever. You just fucking killed. A lot of guys got killed. I shouldn't, I don't know. For the purposes of this episode, it should have been a hell of a lot more somber and ended on a really tragic note that they lost all this in service.
Ron, you're talking about a captain that when he defeated Nomad, who destroyed an entire star system, made a joke about, I lost my son.
This is who
He
Kirk
doesn't give a
really
shit
is.
about the star system.
No,
What do you think he cares about?
They're really desensitized there.
No, you've got a good point, because they do go, depending on the episode. Like if you remember how in the Apple, he was so distraught when he lost a couple of security guards.
Right. Kirk has always been that way.
Yeah, but I always felt like I felt like this episode, he just had these blinders on. It was kind of like, okay, I'm going to do anything to get this thing. And
it's a good point to say that it's going to escape to another planet maybe and do it. So you got to stop it. But then you've got the threat of this vaccine getting this other planet where all these other people are going to die. So it's like, the priority there is iffy in some ways, because none of them really had to die right away. I mean, could have gone back to that planet if if that thing was, I don't know, you could have found a way to keep track of it or come back.
Yeah, but if he was being rational, but that goes back to the argument that he's not being rational. He's not being his normal self, right? So under normal circumstances, he would have never gone after a creature, but because he had that personal connection and Garevik's dead and half the crew is dead and he thought it was his fault. Again, kind of like Decker was in the Doomsday Machine, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
imagine if it wasn't a cloud, if it was a big guy in an Easter bunny costume, like shore leave. Oh my!
We got to get that rabbit.
Oh my stars and garters.
That's where you need to go, Anna's the shore leave planet.
I would. That rabbit is better than the rabbit that I found today. There's both rabbits.
Do you have something you want to share, Anna?
Yeah, so this is the original CGI versus the updated.
Oh, I
graphic.
love this. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I'll just let this play while we have the discussion. Considering
It's
the cloud.
funny when you look at the Enterprise circling in the first one, you would think the planet is like this tiny ball. It's just because of the angle it's curving.
Mm-hmm.
What was the difference there? I didn't see anything.
I don't know. I don't see this one either.
What? You don't see the difference there?
No, that one. How about here?
people.
What's the difference?
Oh, you mean the tricorder?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess maybe the tricorder. Maybe there's lights on.
It might have been the sound of the tricorder or something.
Did you guys also notice what I appreciated with the new effects added? Because that's the episode I watched again. Was that that planet looked like it got half its atmosphere ripped off when they were flying away after they blew up the creature.
Okay, here we go. Look at the cloud.
I like the old one better.
Yeah, it really isn't. That's what's the point?
Yeah, that's not much of an addition.
Actually, the old one
until it comes closer.
Yeah,
I like the old
and
one.
it pulsates, which is kind of cool.
Right, the new one was like billowy and stuff. This actually looks like it could be using gravitational fields to pull itself along, where the cloudy one didn't look as good. See?
Yeah, see, it's almost like the blob.
Because it's moving and shaping more.
Yeah.
Just sort of this
I would have
rectangle.
left that alone if I was them.
Idiots.
I'm waiting for lightning to come out of that other cloud.
I wonder if any of these creatures and things that the Enterprise met along the way, I wonder if they've all
Look at, I think
I
that
love,
looks
I
better.
love the old phasers right there. That's such a
They look
classic.
like lightsabers, kind of. That looks better, in my opinion, than this.
Yeah.
I love that, man. The sound of the phasers,
Okay.
everything.
Yeah.
See,
Well,
I
this is
still like the
cool
old clouds.
how in the CGI one, the cloud avoids the phasers. It opens up a
Mhm.
hole, you
Oh.
know.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Well, it reinforces, I guess, the intelligence of the thing, right?
That's I mean, I was just thinking, like, I love the photon torpedoes. The
Yeah.
old photon torpedoes are just fine. I like the
Mhm.
new ones too, but man,
Yep.
the way it just looked like plasma coming out of the bottom of that
Yeah.
saucer.
And that sound that
Boom! Yeah.
boom.
That
All right,
sounds
which
like
one is more intimidating?
pygmy from the way you're doing it. Brandon.
What are you, a
Boom,
critic?
boom,
What are you, a critic?
No, I was gonna say if this creature ever encountered Apollo or something, like I'd love to see that. Like if any of these things ever met up with each other. Did the Metrons ever meet up with the Organians? Or
Right.
Apparently, they all tend to avoid each other.
yeah, clearly, just the Enterprise encounter.
I love
Well,
this
this-
scene too.
This was funny when Garivik attacks Kirk and then Kirk punches him and
Mhm.
knocks him back into that giant rock, and the giant rock goes,
Oh, did it? I didn't notice.
Yeah.
See, look at the planet. Look at how it looks like it's like
That's cool though. That looks
just
cool.
wiped out. The atmosphere is completely gone.
A giant eyeball floating.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. That's cool.
The Death Star or something.
So they just basically they just
Destroyed the
destroyed a planet. Of course, there's no
That's
life
cool.
on it, I guess, but
I like that.
they could have used that planet for Star Trek 2 when they used the
Oh,
Genesis.
yeah.
They go, oh, yeah, Kirk goes, I destroyed this planet one time. We can go use that.
Oh, you mean the Genesis device?
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
Genesis.
What's that? They used to run all the scientific shit over DeForest Institute, I think it was called. It was a scientific think tank, and they would always come back with their notes on the script about stuff. And one of the things that came back in this one was like, when the antimatter goes off, they were worried about the shock waves, and what they told them is that there wouldn't be any shock waves. They're in space. So the only way that there'd be waves of anything would be if giant chunks of atmosphere or giant chunks of the planetoid itself came flying out towards them.
That'd have been cool.
Yeah.
But they didn't have the budget, obviously, to do
No.
those effects, but that would have been cool. We're getting hit by planetoids.
Oh yeah. Can you imagine that? Like with modern special effects, like say Star Wars quality special effects, the shields are up and half a continent comes flying by and skins and explodes into a million things, and they got to shoot the phasers at stuff to make them smaller so that the deflectors can handle them.
All the while trying to cross circuit to B to save Kirk and
That's right.
It was my cross-circuiting to be.
It saved him.
Yes.
Well,
No deity was involved.
They cut a line out of that. Where was it? I'm trying to remember now. It's like they cut out of the new the revamped one that I watched, the new special effects one. They cut one of McCoy's lines out of it, and I was like, I don't know, maybe it was a glitch in the thing, and but he got a line cut, and I'm trying to remember where it was now because I remember seeing that going, why didn't he finish that sentence?
Oh,
And
I didn't know.
It doesn't help us if you don't remember what the
I
line
know, I know.
This just shows how much of a nerds we are that we notice those little things.
You know what scene I did enjoy, because I always enjoy it when it happens, is the scene where Spock comes in and asks for Bones' advice.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
I need some advice. He's like, what?
I
I
need
need
a
a
drink.
drink.
I need a drink. I fail to understand why.
Yeah. Let me rephrase. I need an opinion.
Was it? Oh, Anthony Marks was it when he said after he brought him in, he goes, "It was my cross circuit." He goes, "Well, thank heavens or whatever." And he goes, "There was no deity involved." He goes, "It was my cross circuiting to be." And then he goes, "Well, then thank pitchforks and pointed ears." I think that got cut.
No, it was in the version I saw.
Did you watch the new one, the new
Yeah.
remastered one?
Mhm.
Okay. I'm gonna have to go watch that again tonight so I can come back next week and tell you which line got cut because it's driving me crazy now.
I got a few super chats here. Let me thank Russell Hall for $5. Do you smell that? A sweet odor like honey, a thing with an odor like that. Spock. We're in the groin season. The groin season.
We're in the groin season.
Oh my God, Russell.
Shout out to the winner of the first ever J. Dahl Hefner scent competition.
Oh, fuck off, Russell.
Oh, woo!
Daniel,
guys don't know what that is.
for $5. He's first time watching the
must be
landing
missing
party. I'm
something.
really
Why
enjoying
did you
the
tell?
discussion.
Wait, back up. Why did you tell Russell to fuck off?
I don't want to
Wait, no.
explain what
Don't
that
back
is.
off when somebody's telling you they're watching this thing for the first time. We got to thank him for that.
Yeah,
Thank you,
Ron.
Daniel.
Yeah, Ron. Jeez,
Back.
love the chat, Ron.
Alan Reeves for $5 sterling. Why does that Star Wars girl Anna look like skinny Kirstie Alley in Star Trek?
Thank you.
There you
All
go.
right.
Because as I changed my hair.
Yeah, she's got the curls going. I really like it. Looks good.
Thank you.
Did she change her hairstyle? I hadn't noticed.
Still regulations, Captain Admiral.
It's like when she went thank you, it was like in slow motion. It was like,
Thank you.
my new shampoo.
Now Russell wants to know why did you tell Russell to fork off?
Russell, you know exactly why. I do not need to explain that to these gentlemen. This is a classy show.
Okay.
It's a classy. Oh,
We're classy old men that don't know these terms.
Mhm. Oh my goodness.
That's funny.
yeah.
So are you guys okay with the I know one brought up the Garrett the kind of counter story of young Garvik being the young Kirk. I kind of like that as being a little bit of a character foil there for Kirk to and I actually for him that point where he realized that he was wrong is when he was basically telling Garvik, right? So he had Bones tell him it wasn't his fault, Spock tell him it wasn't his fault, and he still wasn't accepting it. But then when he's talking to Garvik and basically says, you know, what's your assessment of what happened here? And he goes, oh, is it, you know, ineffective, sir. And then he goes, it wouldn't have made any difference any more then than it did 11 years ago. And he kind of like dawns on him like what an a-hole he's been being.
I like
don't
that
know.
scene.
That was, yeah, so did I. I like that. It was a nice scene.
Yeah, I think Shatner really captured that emotional aspect of it.
I don't remember that scene.
It's right after they find out Spock survived the cloud, and then Kirk walks down the hall and he calls Garvik to join him, and then he asked for his military assessment since he was on the bridge.
Right.
And then
did you notice something in that scene that I really appreciated that they did? Garvik was having a conversation with Dr. McCoy all the way in the background. They just weren't standing there waiting to get cued over. They were actually doing something. And then he called Garvik over. And I thought that was a nice directorial touch to make sure they weren't just do. Even though they were very tiny and out of focus, they were still interacting like there was something going on back there, which I thought was, you know.
And
nice.
while I thought the scene in Garvik's cabin was somewhat superfluous with the, you know, the tossing of the cloche and knocking the vent open, I thought it was really kind of cool, the whole sequence with Nurse Chapel and how, you know, she tells him, you know, you see this, Dr. McCoy has said, you know, if you don't eat, these are his orders, blah, blah, blah. And then she goes and he puts it back and he's like, what's that? And he says, oh, the, you know, diseases of blah, blah, blah. What are you doing with this? You know, he's like, just using a little psychology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the whole time during that scene when she's talking to him, and he calls her Christine. I was surprised he didn't call her Nurse Chapel or something.
I agree. I thought that was a little odd that he was on a first name basis with
personal. Her. Yeah, he calls her Christine. Yeah.
Maybe they had like
my
a little
first
thing.
thought was like there might be a little action about that.
Yeah.
Like but, you know, it wasn't like I think they were the same rank. So it wasn't like a rank thing, like he was talking to somebody above his rank.
But it was also he was a new crew. He replaced. How does he know her on a first mount? I guess
No, that's true. But I on first glance, my kind of feeling was that these guys were maybe even friends, or something, and we just didn't know about it. But then you're right, he just got transferred on. He was like, he makes friends fast. Then he was hanging around the medical facility, and hey, Christine, what's shaking?
It seemed a little out of protocol.
Yeah, it did. It did.
Yeah, yeah, it does stick out. A little too personal.
But I think his biggest problem was,
if it was Anna who was Nurse Chapel.
Now you're talking. He's like, hey, Anna, what's up?
Oh my God, he
Got
didn't
your
call me by
suit.
my rank.
She's like, don't get fresh with me, Garvik.
Rank.
No, you know what the problem was in that scene is he lifted up the food and it was like those colored cubes. I wouldn't eat that crap either. I'd have thrown
the clothes too.
Colored potatoes or whatever they are.
Yeah, I was just like that. I would have broken
It
my
looked disgusting.
Cut up turnips with different colors.
Why didn't she make him that Vulcan plucked house soup?
Yeah.
I honestly though, I don't know about you guys, but that never turned me on. I always got hungry when I saw that stuff. I always wanted to eat them because I love turnips and stuff. And
when you were a kid?
Yeah, I loved it. I loved the idea of eting that. Whatever it was.
They never show
like stew or something, like some kind of stew or
No, it's a little too colorful for me. I liked those little balls that those midgets in Babel put in their drink. I'm like, what are those? I want to try one of those.
All I know is if it was the gamesters that tried scaling it, I'd want to eat their heads because they look like gummy bears.
They did.
Oh my God.
Can you imagine? They beam Kirk up and he's got like brain matter all over his face because he was like, oh, I just couldn't read.
That's next week's show, by the way.
Is it? Oh, yes.
Oh, really?
I like that one too.
This one's a fun one. That one's going to be a fun one too.
Yeah, I got a lot of problems with that one, so that'll be interesting.
Oh my gosh, Graham, you hate them all.
It's a classic.
You have a porn star in there. I mean, what more could you want?
Yeah, right. That's
got wham and violence.
I can't say
slaps that green-haired chick.
My wife a little bit.
Yeah, Dracula's in it. I mean, my God, it's like I think he'd be all over that.
What do you mean, Dracula?
Oh, there's that guy with the Dracula robe and the ball.
Okay. I thought you meant the actor.
His eyes always like,
yeah, man.
They raided like the Hammer horror films closet.
Yeah, exactly. And that big guy, the caveman with the teeth and everything. Come on.
Ohora gets freaking assaulted in her cell.
Right.
That's true. But she fought back. She fought back. Yeah. Okay, we're getting ahead of ourselves. We need to get back.
Yeah. We tend to do that. We finish one, then we start going right into the next one.
Yeah.
Then next week we got nothing to say.
That's my fault. I brought it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, sickly sweet, slathered in honey with Barney.
Don't knock it till you try it.
Yeah.
all over me, Mads.
Okay, now what?
Rub my eyes.
Okay, now hang on a second. How many times has that red-haired security guard been killed in a Star Trek episode? He was in the Gorn episode too, and he got fried.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, what the guy you can't find an extra actor.
No, gingers have no souls, so it makes sense why he keeps coming back.
Gingers have no souls? Is that what you said?
That's always bugged the shit out of me that Mark Leonard was Sarek,
a Romulan and a Vulcan.
Always annoyed the fuck out of me. I'm like, come on, man. You couldn't find one other actor out of a sea
of them.
Eligible actors.
He's acting. He's not really Sarek.
It doesn't
He's
matter.
not really a Romulan commander.
You gotta believe they're just sitting there going, okay, we need somebody. Oh, get Mark Leonard. I just had coffee with him yesterday. He's available.
Fuck what the fans think. Who cares who watches the episode? Who gives a fuck? Let's get him on here. It'll be fine. And they were kind of right because nobody cares except me.
Yeah. Well, Mark Leonard.
That's true about a lot of casting. Is like it's who you know. I mean,
right.
The guy who played Garvik was in the FBI. The FBI TV show. He was Efrem Zimbalist's partner.
Oh yeah.
For the first 2 years, and then he left, and somebody else filled that spot. But the director had worked with him in that and really liked the guy, and he requested him for this role.
Well, the Garavik character's fine. I mean,
I'm just saying
in the
that's
same
how you get
series.
roles too, is by who
Yeah.
you knew. If you know
Oh, it's
Diagasta,
like that. Yeah, it's like that in every industry, I think.
yeah,
Even in the comics industry.
Yeah, I was
That's
just
why
even
when I
comics
first-
are exactly like that.
absolutely.
That's why I used to go to Marvel every. I always made sure I showed my face there. I'd bring pages in personally, so I
Right,
get to know the editors, so they would think, oh, who can
Right.
we
Well,
get?
there was always, if you were looking, if you hit every editor, you'd eventually someone would go, yeah, hey, I got this 8-pager I need done. Go ahead, do it,
Right.
And
I rarely went up there and didn't walk out without a new project.
yep, I didn't either. But I was very annoying until someone gave me one too. That's kind of the thing. Gets you curious.
I want a project.
Yeah, exactly.
I used my sexuality to get mine.
Yeah, you showed him your honey.
I did. I was,
Wait, aren't like most of the editors there dudes? So
there
you were
weren't
using
back
your
then. There were a lot.
sexuality?
Yeah.
There were a lot of girls back then.
I wouldn't say a lot.
Come
There
on,
were-
Ron.
Well, you had Suzanne Gaffney, you had Bobby Chase, you had
Yeah.
Hildy Mesnick, you had what's the other one? What's her name? I can't think of her name off the top of my head.
Renee Witterstatter was up there.
Renee Witterstatter. I'm not saying. Well, I won't say anything anymore, but
Hey, Renee gave me my first work. So
oh yeah, she gave you your first job.
no, my first work. Do you notice how I rephrase that correctly?
Proper terminology.
Who gave you your first job, Graham?
Sally Mandola.
Okay.
Actually, Terry Kavanaugh gave me my very first work, and then Renee kept me busy for a while.
Oh,
So
she was giving you jobs.
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is she kept me working, is what I'm saying.
I know. I hear you.
My first work at Marvel was given to me by Mike Carlin.
What's that? Mike
I said
Carlin?
my first work at Marvel was given to me by Mike Carlin.
Yeah, that must have been real early because he was at DC for.
Yeah. This was 1985. He was Mark Grunwald's assistant.
Okay.
I give Bobby Chase credit. When I was a nobody up there looking for work, I was calling all the time. I'd go back about every 6 months and visit, and basically coerce the receptionist into letting me in so I could wander around and try and get work. But I would always call. Bobby Chase called me back, and I was a nobody. So I always thought, I don't know if she gave me anything, but it was cool that she called me back anyway. So
yeah,
she offered me Iron Man, and I turned it down. I probably shouldn't have. Because I had another project that DC was offering me. It was I think the timeline was that it was the Justice League versus Predator Prestige book. And that book almost drove me out of the industry. So
I only take Iron Man.
Predator.
What's that?
I'm just thinking Justice League versus the Predator. I mean, that's too much of a challenge for the Justice League.
Well, here's the. We're going to go off topic here a little bit, but it's a good story. So you remember in the old Justice League stories, it was like the Injustice League, and so you had like a Superman doppelganger who was the bad Superman, the bad Batman. Okay, so the premise for this was to have this Predator group that was representative of a Superman Predator, a Batman Predator, a Wonder Woman Predator. And so I had to design each one of these doppelganger Predators for all the Justice League guys. And I created costumes and stuff and put, so that you would look at that and say, okay, that's the Superman one. It wasn't an S on him, but it would be that Predator runes that they use for their language. And it would look like something Superman or something Batman, that kind of thing. So I get 36, I get it approved. Dan Raspler approves it. I get 36 pages in, and Raspler calls me and he says, you need to redraw those pages because Dark Horse wants a Predator in their traditional outfits. So he did not approve those he did not get the approval of Dark Horse for those sketches.
That's terrible.
And I did 36 pages, and I had to go now redraw angles and stuff.
You think he would have figured that out before you got to page 5? Christ.
Well, he probably didn't send the pages in. You know, he probably got a huge, and then he finally sent them in to get approved with the Dark Horse.
Hey, how many pages were you turning in, bunches or the whole 36 all at once?
No, I would have turned them in bunches. Probably.
So why wouldn't they notice that beforehand?
No, I'm saying Raspler probably didn't send.
Probably
like
didn't
Graham
send
sent him.
Oh,
Graham sent him 5. He probably didn't send them to Dark Horse. He probably just let them pile up and then sent them to Dark Horse and was like,
he should have sent the designs that I did the
exactly.
other time. I did design sheets and sent those.
Exactly.
Yep.
They
He
own the
approved them.
franchise. What are you doing, man?
Yeah. So I mean the project ended up looking like crap because other people went in there and redrew things, and it was
Well, the
terrible.
entire concept of the Predators having their versions of superhero abilities, like that sounds ridiculous.
sounds like a lot of work. I would have taken Iron Man.
It was a lot of work. I should have taken Iron Man for sure.
Aw.
My first job was G.I. Joe, and that was an eye opener.
Oh my God. They do all the guns and the tech and all that trucks and tanks. And
Yeah, because they had the licensing deal with Hasbro or whatever.
Yeah, Hasbro.
So they sent me all the vehicles, the little models of everything. I still have them somewhere. They're probably worth something.
yeah, cash it
But,
in.
man, I was pulling all nighters to get that thing done.
Yeah, I hate drawing tech. I can't.
So do
I can't stand it.
I want
you
the
know.
world to be made up of jungle comics, dinosaurs and
Something
alien
fun
planets.
about drawing
And your
land.
tentacle vines, Aaron.
Exactly. You don't start with me, young lady.
You're the one that drew it.
I didn't. Oh my gosh! Don't even.
Are we
You guys
back
can-
to that again? I seem to
No,
recall
I don't even want to
something
talk
months
about
ago.
it. I don't even want to talk about it.
You're so innocent.
Alan Rooser, $5 English sterling. Could you guys, Anna, think of a new Star Trek series that you would watch? I'll start. Worf working undercover for the Federation with a Klingon crew. Yeah, Anna, think of a new Star Trek series that you would watch.
I know
Nothing-
the answer to this.
If it has next gen in it, I don't care what the premise is.
I'll answer. Okay, so years back, Quentin Tarantino said he wanted to do a Star Trek movie, and you can find the audio of him calling out JJ's. And he's like, "That's retarded. I just throw it all away." I would want a Quentin Tarantino movie of the Kittimer Massacre, and you can get Samuel L. Jackson. Worf can come back in and play his dad, and just
Okay.
show that movie where it's like Duras versus Moog, and that, because then you can bring in the Federation later. But that would be so cool, Quentin Tarantino style. Everybody dies, everyone gets shot up, and it'd be awesome.
I'm with you, but I'm not with you on the Samuel Jackson thing.
What, you don't want him to be Duras? That would be so cool.
Because Tarantino, his whole shtick is everybody's got to be calling each other nigga. You know,
Oh my God.
Boop. Can you bleep that?
Well,
I didn't
he can
say
say
that. I didn't say that way. I meant, in the slang.
Well, he can say the Klingon version of it.
Yeah, Naka.
There you go.
Why, you son of a bitch!
Listen, I think
Oh
it
my
would be
gosh,
great.
Get me out of here before I get in trouble.
I know. You are going to get in trouble for
I,
that
believe
one.
me, I remember when I heard that too. I was like fascinated with the idea of him doing it. I would have loved to see him do Star Trek. I just
That'd
don't.
be weird.
The problem with Tarantino, as much as I love him, the only movie he didn't do this with was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. But he has a tendency to how do I put it? Well, just as a for instance, in Inglourious Bastards, he literally me personally threw me right out of the damn movie when he started playing David Bowie's
Oh,
China Girl during the scene where she's setting up the projectors and about ready to kill Hitler.
and because that wasn't the right time period.
I'm like, what are you doing? Everything was so on point right up to then, and I was like, what? Wait, what? All of a sudden, I felt like I was in an MTV video. Like,
Yeah,
it
but
just
that
blew me
movie,
right out of the seat.
like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, is a fantasy. Like, obviously, because they kill Hitler. It's a
No,
fantasy.
no, you mean Inglourious Bastards.
Yeah, that's a fantasy, just like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood with the Manson killings, because Sharon Tate doesn't die. It's like he
I know
changed.
it's a different alternate ending.
Well, and
Yeah.
those two are in the same universe because there's a reference to Inglourious Bastards in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh, is there?
Really? I missed that.
Mhm.
Oh, I
I
must have
like
missed
Once
that.
Upon a Time in Hollywood.
I
That's
love Once Upon a Time. I think it's probably his best work.
I agree.
Brad Pitt looked
No,
great in
Jackie
that
Brown
movie.
is my favorite. I like Jackie.
I like
Brown.
Jackie Brown too, but it's not as good as Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah,
But,
there's a couple scenes where Once Upon just drags when he's sitting there talking to the little girl about his character, and he's reading the book on his lunch hour. And
No,
then
that didn't bother me.
then there's the sequence that they're actually filming. It's like they're filming them filming that scene from Lancer, and then it's like this whole thing, and then he screws up the line like 10 minutes into it. He screws it up, and so we gotta go through this whole.
I think he was really trying to drive point the home of he's a flawed character. He's not the character he is in the movies. I think the same way with the Bruce Lee legend.
Yeah. I'm just saying it was overly long to do that, because then we get to the point where we know he's flawed, because then he goes back to his trailer and he starts cursing himself. You stupid motherfucker! I gotta learn these lines. And if you take one more drink, and then he's taking a drink.
Well, I like the point he was making about all these characters, and that the one real badass character who lived in his little thing was Brad Pitt. You had the
He
legend of
looked great in that movie.
Bruce Lee was a legend, and then this movie star played by DiCaprio was this legend, but it was really Brad Pitt behind the scenes who was the real badass. He kicks the crap out of Bruce Lee in The Partner, which is based on a little bit of a legendary story with Bruce Lee and Judo Gene LaBelle, who was a judo black belt, and that supposedly on set there was a little altercation with him and Bruce Lee, and Gene LaBelle basically dumped Bruce Lee on his ass.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably a stretched out story from other things I've read. It wasn't quite as severe as all that, but that's what that was based on. But that's what I loved about it, is how they made Brad Pitt the just unassuming hero. He wasn't afraid of anything. He goes on that ranch, he goes in there, and
that was one of my favorite scenes, is when he's on the ranch.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It was so freaking tense.
Yeah, and then nothing happens. That's what I loved about it. It's like, there's all this tension. You think something's going to happen in the way the girl's acting, Dakota.
Yeah.
And then he goes in there and there's nothing wrong. That was cool. I like the way he built up that tension. He's like, you got to open this door. I'm going to go in there whether you like it or not. He goes in there just to check on his friend, That was really well done, I thought, because it defied, what you thought was going to happen, just kind of pulled the rug out from under it. But
Tarantino wrote a book that is this story, and it fleshes out stuff. I haven't read it, but everybody who's read it says it's so awesome. You got to read it, because it's this story, but it's fuller, it's richer, and it tells you more about Cliff and his relationship, and how he really did kill his wife, and all this other stuff.
I love that scene where he just he has the gun in his hand. He just kind of looks up at her and it cuts away. That was not an accident, man.
Well, was that supposed to be like a reference to Natalie Wood?
I think it was.
Yeah.
I also, what's funny is the kid who played, who's that new kind of big talk of the day actor who played Elvis.
Who played Slim or
played Elvis? Yeah, he played. He was in that before he was big.
Yep.
He played that character. It was interesting to see, because I saw it when it came out. I didn't know who that kid was. And he was a big star.
And
he was really good at Dune. What's that?
One of the Manson girls is who's that sleepy-eyed girl with the big boobs that's all over the internet?
Sydney Sweeney.
Yes, Sydney Sweeney. She's one of the Manson girls.
Was she real? I didn't even notice that.
I love when he goes up to that dude and he was like, kicks the crap out of him, makes him do his car, like put his hand in his car. And loved it.
He's like, ha, 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 ha. Then you see the feet, and you hear the sound effect. You see the guy's feet go up. That was like a Neil Adams shot, Bless you.
Thank you.
Which
the
one?
way you wish that story would have gone, because you could tell like Tarantino had a real fascination with Sharon Tate, and he, you know, how you wish the story really went so she survived, you know, because it was such a sad,
No.
horrible thing to happen, you know, to
Yep.
somebody so innocent who was pregnant and just fucked up.
Well,
Yeah.
I saw that movie on a plane for the first time, and you know, when it comes to the end, and he's standing in the driveway, and the hairdresser is down there, and they say, "Well, why don't you come on up?" And then he opens up the door, and the gate like creaks, almost like a horror movie, like. And then he walks up, and then you have this aerial shot of them coming up the driveway, and Sharon Tate coming out and welcoming him, and then they go into the house. I was like waiting to hear the screams because I didn't know it was an alternate universe. I was waiting for, as he goes in there, you know, the Manson guys are already in there, and that they're, you know, and then all of a sudden the melee happens. But then, you know, the screen credits come up and it says, you know, this is a, you know, a Hollywood fairy tale, whatever it was. And then the credits roll, and I'm like, fucking hey, that was great. That was really great, because I thought I was so nervous that it was going to be a Tarantino style.
I know. I didn't want to see it. I was like, I don't want to see Sharon Tate get killed. I don't want to see her. And then when she didn't, I was like, this is awesome. Margaret Qualley is who Darren Wagner's saying, not Sydney Sweeney. Margaret Qualley.
No, yeah, Margaret Qualley is the girl that brings him to the ranch, but Sydney Sweeney is in the room with the girls. You know,
Or Bruce Dern is?
or with Bruce
just
Dern,
she's just one of the girls. That's it.
yeah, she's just one of the girls.
I did not. I got to go back and look at that now, because of course, I didn't even know who she was when I saw the movie. So I wouldn't.
No, I didn't either. But now that she's all over the internet, I watched it recently, and I was like, "Holy shit, that's Sydney Sweeney! It looks like her." And then I looked it up in the credits, and it sure was. And she was not in Obsession, by the way. Just to get back to Star Trek, you know.
Yeah, I was going to say, but she would have been great in Obsession. If they, you know.
Just to get back to Star Trek. I know.
Yeah.
Been on everything else for half an hour.
That one was my fault, but that was also a super chat's fault. They asked us, and we went on a tangent. So
That's true.
That's true.
Well, it's time for our ratings anyway. So
It is time for our ratings. Sickening Sweet Aaron, give me a rating on Obsession.
I really, really like this episode. I'm afraid to give it a 9, but I'm gonna go 8.5, 8.5.
Wow. Okay.
I really like this episode.
I think Anna and I are going to be on the same page. Anna?
I think I'm probably gonna go with like a 5. There's things that I like, but
You're right here.
you know what? I'm discovering after doing 2 basically the same episodes with you gentlemen how much I hate Moby Dick and that story.
You
So
also hate The Godfather too.
Well,
I do hate The Godfather, but
you know,
different reasons.
the funny thing about the Moby Dick story is we've been living through it for the last 10 years with Trump. I mean, honestly, it's the orange whales thing.
Wait, don't say anything else because Graham will have to edit it out.
Why? All right, yeah, I won't bring up politics.
You know why.
Oh yeah, I know.
You know what world we live in. Okay. All right. So what'd you say, Anna? A 5. Okay. And Ron?
I'm gonna give it a 6.5.
Wow.
And the reason I'm bringing it, it's not such a high score. But I think it's a good episode. I just think that I can't get past Kirk, the hypocrisy of him being so obsessed after losing 200 crew members, which would be the most traumatic experience, and then just without even having any. I know he's obsessed, but just having no wherewithal about having those poor bastards killed in the beginning. Like, it just seems so careless to me.
You know
So
what
I can't like it for that reason.
You know what I've realized about us doing this show is that I like or dislike Star Trek episodes for very superficial reasons, and you guys are really into this sort of, oh, Kirk wasn't as, they were disrespectful to Kirk, and I'm just like, dude, there's a vampire cloud killing people. They have to beam them up before the planet explodes. I'm just
Well,
like,
you must have loved Lost in Space.
not really.
Not really. That's all that show was.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was too goofy. At least Star
Big
Trek.
carrot people and
Yeah, but Star
yeah.
Trek carrot people. I remember that episode. Just even as a kid,
Well, you
I
know
was
who
like,
one of the
"Oh
lead
my
carrot
God."
person was Cyrano Jones.
moisture. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I need moisture.
I liked Land of the Giants.
I like that show. I remember.
Yeah.
that.
I liked all the
watching that in the '60s at night when it came on
mhm.
on television. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I feel
Land
like
of the
I've lived in different, like, that's how long I've lived. I've been in a time machine at times, like, because
time
things are
tunnel.
so different. Like, I remember the '60s so vividly, and how different it was to the '70s, to the '80s, to the '90s.
Mhm.
It's like being in a time machine in my head. It's just weird. I'm
Yeah.
grateful for it. You know,
I used to think about my grandmother who was born in like 1890 or something, and she died in early 1990s, right? So I'm saying here's a woman who grew up with no plumbing and outhouses and now is flying around in airplanes.
Yeah.
I'm just that whole concept of going that far in technology.
Watching a man walk on the moon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Well, think about you guys. You guys all existed before the internet
yeah.
it's true.
and cell phones.
Watching men get pregnant. It's just amazing.
Yeah, it's just incredible the things we're seeing now.
And I didn't even know Star Trek was in color until 1974
Oh my
when we got our first color TV.
Wow.
Oh, hey, Larry. Thank you for asking. It's the nerve is still damaged in there. It's a tad better, but it's still, it's going to take some months. But thank you for asking. Anyway.
That's Stippling
So what was
on
your-
for $4.99 Star Trek show. I'd like to see the first Romulan Empire War be for the Federation.
Before the Federation
Before
formed.
the Federation formed.
That
Watch
is
space
Kittimer.
bar.
That is Kittimer. That's the Kittimer Massacre.
There you
'cause
go.
The Federation wasn't formed yet. And then once the Klingons came into it and everything. So, ha ha ha.
Anna, can you go like this?
What I want to see is the other
Your
2
hair
years.
looks luxurious.
It does,
Thank
doesn't it?
you.
I want
all
to see this. I want to see the Star Trek episode. I want to see the last 2 years of their 5-year missions, and so we only got 3 years of it. That's what I want.
Yeah.
Yeah. With a full
GL2
budget.
and-
Yeah, with a good budget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay,
Yeah, that would have been good.
Graham, what's your
What was
rating?
your score, dude?
I'm giving it a 6.
Mm.
Wow.
Yeah,
so we're kind of on the same page.
Yeah, I just, I've never loved this one because of how Kirk behaves. It's just, there's something about it. It just doesn't. If it's on, it's like maybe I'll watch it, maybe I won't. It's not one of my favorites. I mean, a 6 in Star Trek is like an 8 in any other show.
Yeah.
But
But you're right about the way he behaves, even when he yells at Chekhov unnecessarily on the bridge.
right. Well, search it a million times if you have to. or-
Yeah,
He's
and then they confront him in the, Spock and McCoy confront him in his quarters, and he tries to slyly act calm and, ask me the questions. It's like, come on, dude, just
Mhm.
admit you're being an asshole.
Because our show calculator here, the fiction method, who's created the chart, and he keeps updating it with each episode. If you refresh it, it'll
The
have
whole
the latest.
series as a 6 point. Oh, this episode, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay. 1.472 standard.
Oh, and since I wasn't here last week, I would just like to say I agreed with Aaron. All of the cheating and all of that stuff made me so uncomfortable when I was a child, so I never watched that episode.
Yeah,
What episode was it again?
A Private
One-
Little War.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's all the promiscuous wifery going on. It really made me
Yeah,
uncomfortable.
I didn't like that. Well, I was a kid when I watched it, so it was like I didn't.
Yeah, and it's
Like,
you're
any kind of
watching a
kissing
woman
and that stuff.
behave in a way that you probably were like, "What? Do women really?"
Well,
have
I loved watching James Bond, but like none of the Bond girls were ever married, so I didn't like that. That was like one of his good friends' wife, and she's like she doesn't even care about her husband. She's like,
Yeah.
let me just go sleep with whoever to get whatever done.
100%.
Yeah.
That's
So I
why.
didn't like that.
That's why I actually like the episode, is because she is all of that. All the mythical characters rolled into.
Yeah.
They wouldn't
Like
kill her
Medea.
if she was a good and faithful wife. They had
Yeah,
to
but just
make.
watching it made me uncomfortable, So
Yeah,
it's like,
that's the thing. I was the same way.
Yeah.
I was just like, but the Mugatu then would bring it back around for me. And then I was like, yeah, the guy in the monkey suit, now it's working. Then you get more saucy babe fooling around with Kirk. And then it was
I liked her little rubber root. That little.
that made me uncomfortable too.
Balls.
That thing
Well,
cracked
you
me up.
remember-
It was.
I don't know if you
somewhat
guys are
freaky.
James Bond fans, but The World Is Not Enough. She reminds me of
Huge.
the villain in that one.
Which one was that
one?
one? I've seen
Oh,
The
the
World
one.
Is Not Enough. It's with Pierce Brosnan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but is that the one where who's
It's
the
like
bad
the
guy?
French chick. Her and then
Femke Janssen.
That was he was my least favorite Bond, unfortunately.
Was that the one that had the mogul at the top of the? He was like this richest guy in the world or whatever. What was played by?
No, that's GoldenEye, right?
No. Who-
It's the one where the guy has the bullet in his head and he doesn't feel pain. And
That's
then
the one-
Denise Richards is like the nuclear scientist.
Oh yeah,
It's like, sure she is.
yeah.
There's such a thing as suspending belief, and then there's that.
Yeah, exactly. Oh well, I guess when you're James Bond, though,
I think GoldenEye is the one with Famke Janssen or Jansen.
Yeah, the one where she crushes the guy's legs while they're
Yeah. She
on
yeah.
the
I
top
remember
off
the
or whatever
first
her name
time I
is.
saw Goldfinger, I was a kid in the
Mhm.
60s. I saw it in the 60s. I think it was, and I just never. I remember the idea of the chick being spray painted gold freaked me out.
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
And like
Oh, man.
suffocating from it.
Yeah.
I always thought that one was way too slow. Like
What?
that one's just way too slow for me, even as a kid.
Goldfinger.
You didn't like Odd Job and him whipping his hat around beheading people?
I like Dr. No. That's like one of my
I
favorites.
love Dr. No.
Yeah.
Dr. No's a good one.
I love the aerial scene where Bond is running across the docks, and they've got the AIM characters, which is where Kirby got those outfits from Dr. No.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And Connery's just running, going bam, bam, all these guys, and he's just running down to the docks, and all these guys are going flying, and it's because they shot it as an aerial shot. It looks really cool.
Everybody flying off the.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I think Goldfinger is slow too. I mean, there's a lot of stuff building up and you're just kind of let's get
but that's more
inertia.
a statement of the time. Back then when they fleshed out more of the plot than they
Well,
do.
his other movies weren't that slow. Like that one, even with when the military, when they're going over to Fort Knox and it just takes forever. And I'm like, where? Come on! Like this is the high
I'll
action.
go back and watch a couple more of them.
Yeah.
I liked it. I liked the concept of it, but I have to go. I haven't seen it in years. So
I think the first two, Dr. No and From Russia with Love, are my favorite.
Well, how about George Lazenby? He had a quick.
Oh, he
one
was so ugly. That's a
I
great
love that
movie.
one. I thought that
but-
one's an underrated
He
one.
lost his wife in it, and
Yeah, that
His
one's
own
underrated.
Great,
I
but
haven't
he's a
seen the
terrible
George
Bond.
Lazenby one. I haven't seen that one.
It's so good, Aaron. Go watch it. But he's
right.
terrible. But the
Is that
movie's great.
Casino Royale?
No,
No.
it's
Lazenby was in between what's his face and what's his face.
Sean Connery,
Connery and
Yes.
Connery.
Roger Moore.
Oh, really? Was that
Connery
Lazenby?
and Connery, because
Yeah.
Connery quit.
Oh, was it Connery?
Yeah, and then
Mhm.
Connery came back one more time for Diamonds Are
And then
Forever.
it was Roger Moore.
Yeah, then it
Yeah.
was Roger Moore. Yeah,
Well, then he
I
Connery
love,
came back
by the
again
way-
for Never Say Never Again, though.
On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
I love,
Okay, that's the one. Okay.
It's a good Bond movie, but he's a terrible Bond. And he's
Okay.
hideous.
I'll- Indeed.
one of my favorites was Casino Royale, though, with Daniel Craig. I love that movie.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
modern ones, that was great. But then his other
That's
one,
not, that's a
Hannah's
great.
not going for it. She's not going.
Whether you not like him as Bond, I get it, but that's a great movie. And when he gets whacked in the nuts with that freaking thing.
Oh, that was just, oh god, I still
That's in the book. That's
and I
in the
liked
book.
the realism of it, because it's not like, you know, that with all the other Bonds where he fights and he's just, you know, he just fixes his suit. He
Yeah.
goes in the bathroom and he needs a drink, and you see him shaking because that's what you would be like. I don't know if any of you guys been in a fight, but that's what you get so tense. And
Oh,
I just
yeah, your
loved
adrenaline.
the realism of it was, I thought, awesome. So anyway,
All of his movies I've watched once. I'm like, I'm never watching this again.
he was the most in shape out of all of the Bonds.
It doesn't matter.
And you know, that doesn't
He's a
matter.
terrible
It doesn't matter to you.
it doesn't matter.
He's still a
He was
butterface.
the most
He's a
in shape out of all the Bonds and believable as far as the athleticism. As far as his face, I get it. And I'm like, I'm not a girl, so.
See, I would argue that Connery in his first few was in as good. It looked even better in shape. He wasn't as muscular per se, but he was lithe. He looked better in a suit, and that sucker could run.
Yeah,
you
no,
know?
without a doubt, Connery was Bond. To me, that's Bond.
You know,
There's not even a close second, in my opinion.
Yeah, Roger Moore.
When Connery went to interview for it, he did the interview. He went down the elevator and he walked out to the parking lot, and they watched him walking to his car from the window. And it was Albert Broccoli, I guess, who said that looks like a tiger walking. You know, just his natural gait. You know, he was an athletic
He'd
guy.
been
He
in
was a
some movies.
bodybuilder.
He was in a couple Disney movies and stuff.
Oh yeah, Darby O'Gill.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was great. Yeah, he just had this natural physicality about him.
Swagger. Yeah.
I don't make them like that anymore.
Yeah.
You
Yes,
know,
I do,
you
Anna.
know.
Right here, baby.
Oh, you're Sean Connery.
Shortly out.
Yes.
Hey,
I think he's got
one-
a cigarette
I would
hanging
feel
out
like
of his
Sean
mouth.
Connery right now. Come on.
That's a Smith and
See,
Wesson.
now,
And you've had your
wouldn't
sip.
you guys have liked Star Trek 5 better if he would have been in it?
Was Sean
So-
Connery supposed to be in Star Trek 5?
Yes, he
Yeah,
was supposed to be
he's
Spock's
supposed to be
brother.
Cybok.
Or something.
Yeah,
Well, I would have been better. but
that's
it
why it's
still would've sucked.
Shockery, Sean Connery.
I
Yeah.
can't imagine him delivering
That's
the
right.
line
That's right.
The-
with Lawrence
Sean
Lyon,
Connery. Sean Connery. I'll
which
take
is
the
interesting
bum for
because
5
he was
bucks for that.
Lucy. He was
He was supposed to be
Lucille Ball's
Gandalf,
daughter's
too.
husband, and Lucille Ball owned Star Trek for a while. Does he?
Well, that movie was doomed as soon as they said, "Sure, Bill, you can write and direct it."
I like it still. It's got its
You-
fun.
you-
you cannot tell me you liked Star Trek 5.
I
my
think it's
gosh,
Are
funny.
you kidding me right now?
It's funny.
Wait a I thought there was only 2 people that liked it. Now there's 3. My mom, Mike Barr, and now Anna, the Star Trek girl, like Star Trek 5. There's the only
It's
3 people I've ever
Funny.
met. Oh, yeah, but not for the right reasons. Uhura doing the palm leaf dance. Oh my
Oh,
god.
it's just ridiculous. The whole thing.
I heard that all the actors were complaining because, you know, Shatner was always so physical. And even at that point in his career, you know, he wanted everybody to run across that stage, you know, or that field, you know, when they're on the planet, the God planet. And then they had to roll, they had to fall or something like that. And he's like doing it. And he's like, come on, we're going to do this. These guys are 50, 60
I
years
know,
old.
like, oh, my shoulder. Ah,
Yeah.
my hip.
Listen, I love the Yosemite stuff.
Oh, I
you
hate
love
that
this
stuff.
Look at that scene.
I grew
Oh.
up going there, so I'm like Captain Kirk.
You
is
know,
on
I'm
the
starting to get
mountain.
nauseous right now.
It's from that honey, Ron. It's that
Oh,
sickening
goodness.
sweet honey that's just.
Ay, ay, ay.
He picks the worst
Also,
scene.
back in, maybe Anna has special memories about Star Trek 5. Maybe.
No, Russell.
Let's go back to Anna's when she was on the couch with that guy.
That's what
Were you
Russell's trying to
watching-
talk about.
Were you watching Star Trek 5?
No, I was not watching Star Trek 5.
Okay.
I don't think I would ever be. No. A guy, wait, okay, think about this. A guy that's never seen Star Trek lures me over to his place to watch Star Trek to explain to him. Do you think I'm going to start with Star Trek 5?
Well, if you want to bore
if
him and
it's
get him
nothing-
busy doing something else,
I
then
did not.
yeah,
I
you
wanted
would.
to watch Star Trek.
Anna, you can't ask us questions like, "Do you really think I would do this or that?" Because one thing this has taught me is that yes, I actually do think you.
No, it was not Star Trek 5.
Oh, okay. Well, at least we got that cleared up.
Mhm.
What was it?
I'm not telling you guys because then I'll get meme cry heavens of that movie.
I want to relive that, boy.
Ugh.
I want the mood. I want the atmosphere. I want the movie.
Oh my god. Well, you know what's sad now is like I blocked that guy, but he must have made a new Facebook. He has blue hair and like lip piercings down. I'm like, oh, I can't believe
What? The
like,
guy?
Come on, you
The
gotta
guy
do better
has-
than that, Anna. Come
Oh,
on now.
you
no,
dodged
he
the
went
bullets there.
he's total soy boy woke now. And I'm like,
oh my god!
You know what it was?
You almost had a baby with him.
I did not almost have a baby.
You know what happened? She
That's not
showed
the
him.
story we hear.
No,
Oh my
she
god.
showed him, she
Not
showed
the
him
word on
next
the street.
gen. She showed him next gen, and that turned him into a soy boy.
I did not show him next gen.
Uh,
Poor
Next,
Anna.
next super chat.
Man, we have to. You know what? If we guess movies, will you? You got to give us at
No.
least. You at least got to give us a hint.
I will tell you off air. I will not tell the whole internet because then
All right.
I'll never be
Fair
able to
enough.
live it down.
Fair
okay.
enough.
All right.
All right. See you later, everybody.
Yep, bye.
Hey, I got to go see Rear Window. It's at local theater. They're playing tonight. So
Oh, you got to go see that.
I'm
I love
going.
that movie.
it's great. It's my
Wait,
favorite.
the
Hitchcock movie.
the original.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I've seen it on the big screen a couple times. It's freaking amazing. I
Yep.
love that movie.
Yep. So do I. It's great.
Russell, one
He's-
more time. When you say lip piercing post-op,
Oh my gosh. Now see.
Russell, that's disgusting. Oh my god.
Boy, what's
Lord.
this thing you got going with Russell?
Russell is a degenerate and
Clearly.
he likes to spice things up, but at least he sends super chats. Actually, I was just at my PO box and I had to out loud like just say, "Oh fuck you, Russell." He sends me prank boxes that has photos all over it and it says like butthole stretcher.
oh my god.
Actually, I'll go get it. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back.
You're in trouble now, Russell.
Oh my gosh.
She says sends
This
me
is a-
things called butthole stretcher, and then she cuts out, and then there's a picture of her with her boobs right there.
What are you saying, Ron?
No,
Are you saying that Anna's encouraging this?
well, on some level, they all do.
Wow,
Just kidding.
That's a generalization.
Ron. You should be
That's a stereotype I've ever heard one.
Yeah.
So you guys really-
Personally, I give them one chance in three. Tell me where that's from. What's that line from?
I don't know. It's James
Personally,
Bond.
I give us one chance in three.
Hunt for Red October.
Yes. Yeah, man.
Oh, nice.
Good get.
I was going to say The
Now-
Rock.
Now,
Okay.
keep in mind, this has been sitting at my PO box for everyone to see.
What, donuts? Bagels?
No more Gap. Oh my gosh.
So last time it was a butthole stretcher. This time it's a butthole tightener.
Why is he sending you these things?
Because it's Russell.
Now, do you actually know him? Like,
No,
see
I've
him?
never met him before. He just appeared one day in the chat and has been trolling ever
We
since.
just asked why you
Wow.
make him do those things, Anna. What are you doing to make
He does it. I don't do it.
You're
God damn it,
enticing him somehow. Somehow you're seducing him to do these things.
No.
Crazy, man.
No,
What does
no.
Peaches have to say when that kind of thing comes to the door?
It doesn't come to my house. It goes to my PO box.
Oh, does Peaches know about it?
I tell him, yes, he laughs.
Do you show it to him?
There's nothing in the box. It's just like
Oh,
the
I
empty box. So yes, I show him.
That's crazy.
No.
Obama's getting his licks in.
J-Van-
Uh,
Oh my god.
poor Anna. Oh my god.
At least you guys are paying Graham.
That's right.
Saying it to say it.
That's a good way to rationalize.
Yeah, Grant was going to end the show 30 minutes ago, but it's like they just keep rolling in.
Coming, boys.
Yeah, keep trolling it.
I got
guys,
taxes to
smash the
pay.
like button.
Oh my gosh, I did my taxes this past weekend finally.
All right, off air here. Say goodnight, everybody.
Ugh. Ron
Good
wants
night.
out of here too.
Next week is the
Okay, next
Gangsters.
week is the Gamesters of Triskelion.
Oh
So
yeah.
we will see you then, my friends. Until then, have a great week.
20 quattros.
On a new
Quattro.